Jag won the power of veto, which is the scenario Alex talked about wanting last night, where it likely now becomes Hisam versus Cameron on the block. In that scenario, I don't see how Hisam stays in this game. I think Hisam's days are likely numbered, even though I would like to see him stick around a little longer because I do think this season needs somebody like Hisam who is a little old school villain. But before we get more into that, let's first talk about some of the debacles that involved Jared over the last 24 hours. I think that's probably some of the bigger news coming out of the feeds. The Jared and Blue flirt match is a very strange flirt match. I know Ray commented on last night's video about having to watch Jared and Blue on the feeds and finding them boring. I too find them on the boring side, but more so on the awkward side. I don't understand their relationship, whether it's on a game level or not. I know a week ago, at the beginning of the week, Alex and I talked about how we thought Jared likes Blue, but she doesn't like Jared. I don't think that's no longer the case. I think Blue does like Jared for whatever reason, as awkward as he is with her, and some of the things he says that are very cringy, in my opinion. I think Blue is interested in him to an extent. Sure, maybe there is a game side of Blue doing this. I know a lot of people think the opposite, that Blue's not into Jared. I disagree. I think Blue is into Jared. Now, after last night's conversation, she was definitely pushing something, trying to get something more out of him. And Jared allegedly has this girlfriend or something, some situationship back at home that he and Cirie have talked about that is maybe keeping Jared from actually totally pursuing this showmance with Blue. I think Jared is 100% attracted to Blue. I do think he is trying to game with her now, though. But neither of them are doing a very good job using the other for game if that is what they are after. Blue does not seem to pick up on anything that Jared is saying. And in the wee hours of the morning, Jared was hinting at the fact that he has this big secret that everyone on the outside knows. And he seems to be hinting to Blue that he and Cirie are related. Jared constantly has to do the most. He constantly does the most with all of this talking. And now he's almost giving up him and Cirie's secret to Blue, which to me is an odd choice so early in the game. I see a strategic side of it, that he wants more people on his side late in the game than his mother's side. I do think that is a possibility. Cirie wants to go to the end with Felicia and Izzy, two people that I think he might feel would take Cirie to the end over him. Although it's kind of his fault. Jared did not do a good job growing his relationship with Izzy. Like, that was the first deal made. It was between himself and Izzy. He let Izzy and Cirie get super close now. And even though Jared and Izzy are close, they are not nowhere as close as Izzy is to Cirie. So maybe this is Jared's way of wanting to also take someone like Blue with him late in the game. Probably Corey as well. I still don't know why Blue would need to know that he and Cirie are related. Not that I have any faith that Blue would use that information wisely. However, I think she would. She is close to Jag, and if Jag finds that out, maybe that would kind of blow things up a little. Although any faith I had in Jag is long gone. He won the veto today. Strategically, the only thing he seems to be able to do is make alliances, and that only gets you so far. I see nothing about his strategy of how that's going to actually get him to the end of this game. But yeah. But Jared continues to get a lot of shit from the fans because of the things he says or the way he talks about women. He does have some misogynistic views, I guess. To me, he's just a very insecure dude, and wanting to know the body count of Blue, being very awkward about that. He's definitely has some. He honestly, to me, might have some mommy issues. That is what Jared is coming off like here with the way he views women. He said, had this conversation about how he didn't used to see women as people. So yeah, he has some deep-seated issues with women for sure. I said before that I think Jared gets a little too much shit. Here he's not helping his case. I can't defend him too much here. And on a strategic level, I think it is annoying with him trying to do these big hints to Blue that he's related to Cirie. And then furthermore, him and Izzy got into it about the way he views women and the way he was talking to Izzy in that conversation. He didn't seem to like that. Today he talks to Cirie how he wants to get Izzy out sooner rather than later, something Cirie does not want at all. Cirie told Izzy to win HOH. So clearly she doesn't want Izzy out anytime soon. But Jared, after having this problem with the way his and Izzy's conversation went yesterday, now seems to be pushing for Izzy to go. It's pretty early for that too. All these people in this game trying to get rid of their allies the first half of the game is pretty dumb. Everybody right now is playing pretty dumb strategically, and too much of that really irks me unless it's entertaining. And I don't know if I'm that entertained by the stupidity of some of this cast. But Jared and Blue, not a big fan of whatever they are. I'm calling it a flirtmance for now, but I do think they are into each other to an extent, for real. I know I talk a lot of shit about Gen Z. I wish Alex was here to talk to him about Gen Z again today, because if Alex is watching this, I just have to tell you, dude, your generation's down bad. Watching Jared and Blue, this awkwardness, no chemistry, and yet they are still into each other. Ooh, it is cringy. And it's getting hard for me to not see the generations of these players playing this game, because there are different generations all playing this game, and each generation has a whole lot in common. Before I get to that, though, I want to talk about Twitter and Hisam, because I feel like Twitter is Hisam. Hisam and social media are the same problem, and social media hates Hisam, which I find very ironic, because he acts just like everybody acts on Twitter. And I hate both Twitter and Hisam, so it's easy for me to make this comparison. The whole reason everyone hates Hisam is because he was giving these speeches about morality last week while doing the same exact thing that Riley did the week before. He wanted to hold Riley so accountable, and yet he missed the fact that now the rest of the house is holding him accountable for the way he acted last week, and now he is the big target. Twitter and social media are the exact same way. They want to constantly act like they want to hold everybody accountable for things, and they have this false morality that this makes them so moral. They are the exact way that Hisam is. So that's why I find it so ironic that they want Hisam out so bad now, even though I don't like him either, but it's way too early for Hisam to go. So yeah, social media, they want to cancel Jared for the way he talks about women, although Felicia said way worse things about Kirsten that first week that was way more misogynistic to me than anything Jared has really said. I mean, other than the fact that he didn't see women as people, that was a bit extreme. That definitely giant red flag. But to me, like I said, he is still young and insecure, although he's not really that young anymore, but he's still very insecure. Yeah, Gen Z in common here. I've talked about it a lot. They talk too much. There is this sense of lack of identity to all of the Gen Zers to me, which is ironic because they are such a generation always talking about their identities. But if you watch these players in this game, within this game, they have no identity. They don't know what they want out of this game. other than Jag just wants to make a bunch of big alliances. Riley did not have a big identity. She let Cameron make her big alliance for her. Blue is not doing a whole lot of anything in this game. She's just kind of there. She is not showing her identity at all. Corey at least has an identity, but he has the other main negative I've talked about from the Gen Z players, where he does not have a backbone. He's very good at self-awareness, knowing his place in the game, and getting information, but I've yet to see him actively use that information. And you can't wait too long to use all that information, or it's going to be too late for him in this game. He can be building something of his own, but he's not. And I think that is another poor quality that we're seeing out of these Gen Z players. And I do find it ironic that they have a total lack of identity for a generation so gung-ho about always talking about their identities. Now, the older players, I have issues with them too. The Boomer in Felicia, and the Gen Xers in Hisam, Cirie, Bowie. First of all, they think they know everything, and they don't. Felicia and Cirie now, along with Izzy, not trusting Bowie because they get it in their mind that Bowie's the one that ratted out to Red, that Hisam is the real backdoor target. Of course, it was Cameron that went to Red and ratted it out to him. Alex and I talked about this yesterday too, how leaving Red out of the plan didn't make any sense because he was going to find it out one way or another, whether you were going to tell him last minute or he was just going to be blindsided along with Hisam. Strategically and even socially, I didn't get that whatsoever, but now they're paranoid about Bowie as well being the one to rat out to Red when it was Cameron the whole time. They're letting Cameron get away with a lot, in my opinion. But you know, these older players, they think they know everything. Clearly they don't know a whole lot. So yeah, another bad quality of them is they just give up on everybody too quickly. Cirie being mad at McCole lately, and now they're mad at Bowie. It's too much. It is too much, and I've talked about this before. I hate how the older players always are demanding respect out of others, but yet they go around not respecting people. This happens in real life too with older people. It's very irksome. So yeah, I see the older players right now being a little too pissy about everyone, and it's not doing anything for their games. They look dumb, and strategically, they're a mess. Like, we gave the Handful Alliance for not including people, and now this big alliance of older people is turning on their own alliance quickly. It is very head-scratching. And then left, we have my generation. The Millennials, who, outside of Izzy, who I think is an exception because Izzy is so wrapped up in the Jared and Cirie stuff, but every other Millennial in this game kind of just off in their own little worlds, for better or for worse. I mean, I do think we as a generation are just tired. Millennials are tired of the rest of y'all and all of your nonsense. But we have Matt, who, it's hard for me to include Matt in the middle of Millennials because he's right at the edge between Gen Z and Millennials. But he is a Millennial. But Matt's in his own little world right now. Still worried about Riley, who went home, the whole Q-tip heart thing. He's like in this obsessive state, a limerence, if you will, I think is the word for it, with his crush on Riley, even though when he told Riley about his crush on her, he only got an like, if I was him, I would have nothing to do with Riley after that. But Matt is still only worried about Riley, who has gone home. So Matt's not doing a whole lot for his game here. Mimi McCole is so sick of the old people, and I can't blame her. She sees that they've been doing way too much, and how paranoid they are, and how they think they know everything, but they do a little too much to get there. But she's been spending a lot more time being quiet, kind of just off by her own self. I don't know if that's good for her game either, but I do see this in common with all the Millennials doing their own thing. America, she seems to just be there to have some fun and stir a little shit, which I mean, honestly, I commend her for that. I think she is fun, and she's having fun. She does know the game well. I think if anyone is going to light a fire under the Gen Z players' asses, it's going to be America. She has hinted at stuff today in regarding the way that Hisam is the big target and how other people might be running this game. I need to have faith in America, I guess, that she's going to be able to do something with the Gen Zers because they're not going to do it themselves. But we'll see. Cameron is so in his own world that he is so delusional. He thinks he is the one that set this Hisam backdoor in motion, even though he had absolutely zero to do with it. Cameron's a fellow Pisces like me, and Pisces can be delusional. But I one day strive to be as delusional as Cameron is. And then Red, he's purposely laying low, in my opinion. He's filling on the outs because he too has kind of been doing his own thing. He's not an aggressive player either, like the rest of these millennials who I think need to start being a little more aggressive. This week is a big test for Red, in my opinion, to tell if he is a good player or a bad player. He wasn't included with the big alliance, but he still seems to trust them. A lot of the trust to the older people comes through Cirie. I think Cirie is owning this game socially, not a surprise there. Alex and I talked about it last night. Cirie is just so good at making other players feel comfortable socially. That is her biggest strength, and it works for her. So right now, it kind of is the Cirie's show. I don't think that's going to make for good television in the coming weeks, in my opinion. As somebody that hated Redemption Island when it was the Boss and Rob show, one of my least favorite seasons of all time. It might be my least favorite season of all time, honestly, and I hate a lot of the last 12 seasons. And then Big Brother 19, when it was the Paul show, one of my least favorite Big Brother seasons. So just being the Cirie show, even though I like her, doesn't make for good TV, in my opinion. But I'm going to give her credit. Her social game, as expected, tremendous. She has this game right now in the palm of her hand still. But I would like to see some people start playing a little more aggressive. Maybe not as aggressive as Hisam played last week because we see the predicament he's in now. I will try and have an update tomorrow. We're supposed to have a storm here in Los Angeles. So we'll see if I have internet. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but you never know. I knock on wood. I can knock on the floor, I suppose. That I have internet. If not, I will have a late update on Monday regarding the veto situation. As it stands, though, Jag won the veto. Hisam is still the plan to backdoor. Everyone knows Hisam is the plan to be the backdoor, except Hisam himself. I will say a quick update recording this after my initial recording before I edit because the feeds came back and I didn't get to watch much. There does seem to be talk of maybe flipping this week onto Cameron or Red so those two don't have each other. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I will have a lot to talk about tomorrow if I can.